Hail, Pandawans and journeymen walking that illustrated path. Another glorious Sunday sunrise with Samwise. How did everyone fare this weekend? This weekend was a time of ill omen. I mean, if you consider that Friday, the start of the weekend, for me at least, was Friday the 13th. Oh my. And then the following day, on Saturday, we had the eclipse. I'm sure all our ancestors would have stopped life and hid in their caves or tents and just got nothing done out of fear. But we do not embrace fear here, do we? No, I know that you, me, everyone out there, all the journeymen and Pandawan did not fear and kept their journey down that illustrated path, right? The path of creation, huh? The artistic journey. Basically what I'm saying is, were you guys drawn, huh? I notice that there has been a decrease in images sent to my Twitter page of people drawing Orctober stuff. And maybe you forgot, or maybe because we were hiding in our caves and tents because of the eclipse and Friday the 13th, that we didn't draw as much as we did. Well, I assure you, I was still drawing this weekend and having a blast. And so with this image here, I'm doing a sort of an opposite of what I normally do, where you start with like a white page or say like a gray page. And I went ahead and just started on a completely black screen. And using those variety of the new messy brushes I'm still playing around with to see if I like, I started to, of course, hearkening back to our goal of October is doing a lot of orcs. I started doing an orc sketch, but doing it an opposite way that I would normally do it, where normally I'm going in with lines or tones. This time I started with, like I said, completely black screen, and then went in with just a white brush and sort of just went in and started doing the sketches that way. And it's very similar to drawing the normal way that I normally do. But it offers a little bit of, you have to think a little bit differently. So what I've been doing here is just sort of sketching in the art and then adding in some of the highlights, where normally I would be doing the shadows. But since there's no shadows here, it's already a black background. They're kind of already there. Kind of like when you guys ever watch some of the Bob Ross stuff. If you haven't, Bob Ross, awesome, wonderful. I remember watching that when I was, early teens or late teens. But he would sometimes have these shows where he would do with a black canvas, and then he would paint with the other paints on top. And again, they almost always ended up to me looking like those velvet paintings like you'd see hanging in an old country bar. It has painting of Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash and Ronald Reagan and stuff like that. But it's definitely a fun kind of technique, and it saves a lot of time, because a lot of times if we have our white paper and then we really want to get a lot of that darkness in there, and then you got to just spend hours laboring doing that. I've even tried this on, I have some black paper, and then it came with some of the tools. I don't remember where I got this, but where you could scratch away. It's like the old, it made it look like old wood carvings that, like Gustave Doré and stuff like that would do. If you're not familiar with that artist, Doré, beautiful artwork, super, super cool. And you can see where artists like Bernie Wrightson used that influence when he was creating his, awesome Frankenstein illustrated novel. But with this one, I'm going in with just various kind of brushes, and you can tell they're all kind of like just like shitty. Sorry. What do they call it when they with the clothes that are already worn? It's like one of those brushes, distressed or whatever it is. So I'm just kind of going in, and it's really messy, which my style is a little bit more sketchy than the normal, I think, styles that are out there now. But this is like really messy for me. So I'm sitting there just going like, oh my God, look at all the stuff that's going to have to be cleaned up and all that. And then I kept thinking, nope, we're not going to clean up. We're just going to let it be rough and messy. It's kind of like a good plate of pasta. It's just all over the place, rough and messy, or maybe a bar fight. I don't know. Pick out whichever one you think works better. But no, I did this actually the other day, yesterday, during the ORCLIPSE, and I actually I finished this video, and then I went back and I posted this image, but then I threw in, which I didn't include in this video, I'm sorry, I threw in a little eclipse in the background, so you can go check out my Twitter page or Instagram to see that. But yeah, I've been enjoying using these brushes. They're a little bit too messy, I think, for me. I think if this is supposed to simulate painting on a rough canvas or with old weathered brushes, I think by that time the artist would maybe keep one of these brushes and use it for maybe some effects. But I'm using the whole thing that I found, and I've had these for a while. I just haven't really used them, and I was going through my brushes. As Photoshop artists, you guys all can relate, I think. Hell, even traditional artists, you always have like your little pencil box or whatever, and it's just filled with all these busted and beat up fragments and stuff, and yet we can't throw them away. Why? Because we're artists. We've got to keep these. These are our tools. Though we could take some advice from the great Miyamoto Musashi, who one of his precepts was get rid of anything that's not useful anymore, which means basically stop hanging on to crap that you don't need. So I was going through my brushes and kind of looking at them and going, yeah, I don't need these anymore. Because one of the worst things is to open up that brush panel and there's just hundreds. And I've seen artists with thousands. And some of the more, the smart artists are the ones that know how to, put them all together and group them together and all that. I don't do that. I tend to rely on, 2 or 3 different brushes for like a whole image. And obviously there might be 1 or 2 specialized ones like, like I was telling you in a previous video, I have a brush that makes chains. And that's not because I can't draw chains. It's just, it's really boring. So that's one of the reasons why I've never done a comic is I can't see drawing the same thing over and over, panel by panel. It goes nuts. Even here in October, drawing orcs for every single picture, it's definitely limiting. Now, I could be plotting out and doing more original concepts, but that also takes a lot more time. And as you all know, I got a day job as well as a night job. Not that kind of night job, guys. But, I work on my own projects as well as my own day job work projects. But just wanted to let you know that I kept up through the fear of the eclipse, the ORCLIPSE. Are those dad jokes getting worse? See, those weren't called dad jokes when I was around. Those were just jokes. But I thought I'd do this one a little bit of different style, mostly predominantly on a black, and then I added in whites. And as how life is not black and white. There are some grays, so I added some grays in there too to kind of blend in some of the messiness, and it kind of makes it look like a little bit of sort of like bounce light or reflection on some of the armor bits. It kind of worked out nice. So I like this type of art. I might do some more for even my personal stuff. But I'm looking for, I've got some great ideas for some other months coming up. At least the people have talked about November and all it. None of them roll off the tongue as well as Orktober or Orktrollber. Maybe I combine trolls and orcs for the next one. Oh, watch here. I get to fight with the UI here, trying to figure out how to get my name to work right. That's the benefit of just doing pencil and paper. But Photoshop also has its awesome benefits too. Well, remember your ABCs, Pandawans. Always be creating. Hail.